By now it's almost a ritual. A movie or TV show, probably Game of Thrones, depicts a woman getting raped. It is greeted by furious criticism on the internet, which slowly dies down until the next rape, when the cycle begins anew. Over the last several decades, rape has evolved from a topic that was neither depicted in pop culture nor talked about publicly, to a frequent, even overused plot point in movies and TV shows. It's also become the center of a fierce debate about when portraying rape in fiction is unnecessary, manipulative, and even harmful, especially when it feeds into real-life misconceptions about sexual assault that are often used to deprive rape survivors of legitimacy or justice. Half the time, people can't even seem to figure out how to define rape, let alone portray it in responsible ways. Indeed, one of the most baffling things about so many rape scenes in popular culture is that the people who scripted them felt qualified to do so, despite seemingly knowing nothing about rape except that it exists and it is bad. In short, anyone can write a rape scene, but should they? Chances are, the answer is no. From reinforcing falsehoods about sexual violence to the objectification of women, here's why that rape storyline is probably a bad idea, and a pretty uncreative one too. Rape is rape. One of the reasons why rape remains so terrifyingly pervasive is far too often, no one is willing to call it what it is. We've generally agreed as a culture that rape is bad, but since people want to continue to commit and excuse rape, they resolve that cognitive dissonance by defining rape in incredibly narrow ways that distance it from themselves and the people they know. Behold the rise of euphemisms like gray rape and rape, aka real rape. A small but terrifying study conducted on college-age males earlier this year found that around 1 in 3 men said they would be willing to rape a woman if there were no consequences, but only if you didn't call it rape. For these men, the resistance or disinterest of women was viewed as insincere or inconsequential, and the use of force or coercion was seen as either acceptable, or a nebulous, gray area, but not rape. That's why definitions of rape and consent are so crucially important. They literally encourage people to commit acts of rape by redefining them into social acceptability. Simply put, any form of media that reinforces any of these ideas actively enables sexual assault. Take, for example, Game of Thrones, which filmed a rape scene for season 4 without realizing it was a rape scene. After it aired, its director continued to insist that it was not rape, despite the female character saying no and stop while her assailant pushed her down, saying, "I don't care." Instead, the director explained that the assault becomes consensual by the end, despite no clear verbal or physical indication of that, and that the coercion was actually a turn-on for the woman. Which leads neatly into another cardinal sin of bad rape scenes. Rape should not be sexy. No, making rape scenes look sexy might sound like a no-brainer, yet avoiding this pitfall seems remarkably difficult. That's because most popular media looks at women primarily through the lens of sexual attractiveness. Important female characters are uniformly young and alluring, while unconventionally attractive or older women rarely make it to the screen at all. It's a troubling subtext. If women aren't sexually attractive to men, what's the point of them even existing? It's a troubling subtext. If women aren't sexually attractive to men, what's the point of them even existing? The impulse to sexualize women is so knee-jerk and compulsive that sexiness becomes functionally mandatory, which sets the stage for maximum creepiness anytime those characters suffer, and particularly when they suffer sexual violence. As Rachel Edidin wrote in her critique of sexualized rape scenes, women are exaggeratedly, and always, sexy. They're sexy on the phone, sexy on the job, sexy fighting, sexy tortured, sexy dead, sexy raped. If you're a woman in media, you're basically the sexy Halloween costume of human beings in a world where Halloween never ends. Again, I cannot believe I have to say this, but if a movie or TV show can't visualize a woman in non-sexual terms even for the brief duration of a rape scene, it has no business depicting rape scenes. Rape does not have to be seen to be believed for reasons that almost uniformly do not speak well of us as a species. When rape is introduced as a part of a character's storyline, either in the past or the present, we seem to need those assaults to play out before our eyes in order for them to seem real. But we really? Although the recent Mad Max Fury Road movie featured a number of central female characters who had experienced rape and lived in sexual slavery, one of the most remarkable things about their depiction was that their rapes were not depicted on screen. Instead, the movie trusted that we could simply believe what they were saying. But where the movie made an active effort to get things right with its female characters, even bringing in Vagina Monologues author Eve Ensler to consult when it came time to make a comic book. The story got turned over to an all-male team that immediately introduced a rape backstory to motivate its main female character, Furiosa, and immediately put the previously off-screen rapes in the comic. It gets even more troubling when you consider the reasoning behind this decision, as articulated by the comic's co-creator, Mark Sexton. The use of institutionalized rape by Immortan Joe is not only central to this story, but without it, the story could be viewed merely as a bunch of young spoilt girls whining about being kept in relative luxury by an older man who's concerned with their safety. Not really much room for dramatic tension there. There are quite a few things wrong with this response, but the idea that sexually enslaved women are in danger of seeming spoiled unless they are raped before our very eyes is surely the most contemptible. Rape is not shorthand for maturity, edginess, or depth. Because rape is widely acknowledged as a very serious topic, there's also a tendency to treat rape scenes as a means to be edgy or shocking. You know, as a way of creating really serious, mature content. Most of the time, however, this approach radiates nothing so much as ignorance and immaturity.